So what's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I just saw something pop up on my feed. We've been traveling, and let me show you guys real quickly. You guys see right down there? We're doing some testing. I said I was gonna do it. You guys know my truck is tuned, weight loss, all that good stuff. And yeah, we are not in SEMA, just so you know, we're not down there. We're actually in Nashville, Tennessee. And yes, we are headed to Florida. So we're doing a big trip here, about 2,800 miles. Had some issues with the truck. Stay tuned. It's gonna be some good stuff, I promise. But yeah, let's go ahead and discuss this GM Allison thing that just got pushed out. I found this article on GMAuthority.com and it says Chevy Silverado HD with GMC are dropping the Allison transmission badge. So General Motors will discontinue use of the Allison branding with regard to the 10-speed automatic equipped by the Chevy and GMC HD, ending a long-standing arrangement that tied the General's HD pickups to one of the most respected names in heavy-duty truck transmission technologies. The licensing agreement between GM and Allison transmission is set to expire on December 31st. All new units of the Silverado and Sierra HD produced by January of 2026 or sooner will no longer include an Allison transmission badge. Now, most of you guys know by now that the 10-1000 is a stamp-approved Allison transmission, meaning that GM built it in-house, designed it, and Allison basically gave them their blessing to use their name because they gave the approval that it was something that they probably would build. With that being said, the Allison 1000 is a true Allison transmission that was in the GMC and Chevy HDs from 2019 all the way down to 1999. So it started off as a 5-speed, became a 6-speed, and most people forget this. Yes, the Allison transmissions are really good. However, they are medium-duty transmissions. Just like the one found in the Ram trucks from 2014 and earlier, they had an Eisen. And the Allison transmission really had, I call it, weak gearing. So the dually version with the Allison transmission with the DURAMAX could only tow up to 22,000 pounds. Significantly less compared to the Ram and Ford trucks back in the day. Now when they got this 10-speed, the dualies were able to tow over 30,000 pounds. So this was actually a good thing for GM because in the past they've always been pretty much held back because the Allison 1000 did not have the same gearing as the other two, therefore it couldn't tow as much. GM confirmed that although the badge will disappear, the 10-speed automatic gearbox currently equipped by the Silverado and Sierra HD will not include any performance or design updates. Rather, the change is purely branding related. We routinely refresh our products, including badging and brand collaborations. The transmission itself and the truck's performance are not changing. It's the same 10-speed automatic we've offered in current and previous model years. General Motors told GM Authority. We also like to confirm that the reason is simply that after months of back and forth, we could not agree on terms to extend the agreement, GM added. Following the official end of the agreement, GM and its dealerships will have a 180-day grace period in which they may continue to reference the Allison name and marketing materials. That window closes in June of 2026, after which dealers will no longer be permitted to promote Silverado or Sierra HD models using the Allison name. Trucks already built and wearing the badge may remain that way, but related advertising will need drop the branding. As some readers may recall, the 10-speed automatic transmission equipped in the Chevy and GMC HD pickups was never actually a true Allison-built transmission. Instead, the 10-speed was built in-house by General Motors with an Allison badge. We already know this, and actually the medium-duty segment does still use that 6-speed automatic transmission because it's purely for payload. Now my timeline was actually a little bit off in my head about GM acquiring Allison transmission. So I guess the founder died in 1928 and GM pretty much acquired Allison transmissions back then. So it was an 80-year partnership, and then they sold them off to Onyx Corporation because they needed cash because of the bankruptcy, the money problems they had back in the 2000s. But regardless of that, does this make you wonder just a little bit? Is it possible that the failures, Allison was like, hey, we don't want to be a part of this. You need to fix these issues, because obviously when you think about an Allison transmission, because if you look on the side of any Chevy or GMC, they use that branding. Even for the 10-speed transmission found behind the gas engines, they also have Allison branded transmissions. So maybe, just maybe, Allison wanted them to fix some of the issues that they've had. Therefore, the name could be lifted back up again. That's the only thing I could think about, because why else would General Motors and Allison transmissions break up, basically? So it's definitely interesting, and I can't wait to see what the branding is going to become on the side of the trucks. Maybe they just might say 10-speed transmission, maybe. Regardless of that, I want to show you guys a picture here. So when I got my 2023 GMC Sierra 3500, my friend already pointed this out to me, that this was an RPO code. So obviously the RPO code for the DURAMAX is L5P. Now on this paper, you guys will see here, it says MGM for the RPO code. However, it doesn't say Allison transmission like it says DURAMAX. Now the same thing can be said about the 6-speed and the 10-speed, obviously, that GM builds in-house too, right? It doesn't say any other name beside it. I would think it would say 10L1000 at the very least, but they don't even brand this as an Allison on the build sheet for these trucks. So at the end of the day, I think that this could be something that maybe Allison wanted. I mean, I'm just speculating. I'm not saying this is fact. But it's very possible that maybe Allison wanted GM to make some updates to this transmission to make it more reliable, because people don't have faith in these 10 speeds. The valve bodies are the biggest issue. The torque converters are known to fail. And as you guys just saw, GM's not going to make any changes to the transmission. I mean, maybe they've made them for 2025 to make them more reliable, but apart from that, have you guys heard anything? Because I haven't. I keep wanting to go back to the parts department and see if they have different part numbers, but I mean, it's kind of hard to get those guys to look these things up because they don't want to do it anyways. But regardless of that, I think that that's my theory on why Allison wanted to part ways, because it does hurt the name of Allison Transmissions when you're linked to a 10-speed that's continuing to have problems from 2020 up to now 2025 and 2026. I want to read some of the comments here. It says, I am surprised that they are actually ending the Allison branding, even if it hasn't been true for years. Wonder what specifically they couldn't agree on. And that's a good question. And someone right here says, these are businesses, what they couldn't agree on is money. And that's very possible. And then this person says, and I wouldn't be surprised at the last minute they come to an agreement. This is a game of chicken. Someone wanted more than someone was willing to pay. Quality. I would say Allison didn't want their name associated with GM's junk transmission. Pretty obvious and a good decision. I kind of agree with that too, guys. I think that maybe GM, and Allison were probably discussing, hey, how can we make these transmissions more reliable? That way people aren't associating our transmission as junk. I see a lot of Chevy HD trucks on the road, so it's not a reputation issue. That's probably Allison's negotiating tactic, and GM wants a cheaper rate. They're just at an impasse. So I guess some people are thinking it's purely money, and it's very, very possible. Now this person here says, my 2024 Chevy Silverado 1200 transmission failed at 56,000 miles for a bad valve body. I was 4,000 in line for the part. 63 days later, I got my truck back. I would not be surprised if Allison did not appreciate the damage to their reputation. To GM's credit, they paid for a rental and the expenses related to trip interruption, then shipped my truck back to me 1,000 miles away. Now at the time of me filming this footage here, my truck has around 26,000 miles, I believe. And if you are someone looking to buy one of these trucks, should you be worried about these 10-speed transmissions? That's a really good question. Now, you guys see right there, I do have the Banks transmission pan. You guys see it has a scoop on it. I got some video footage coming of us getting this installed, and I also use AMSOIL. So here's what I'll tell you. If you're someone who really wants to get the best out of the transmission, maybe you don't want to do a big upgrade while you're under the factory warranty, I think that these two things, they're warranty safe. And you guys can see that little scooper right there. You also have better cooling. You have just more volume of fluid, and it's easy to drain this too. Once you see the video of me getting that installed, I am shocked that GM went this route with the design of the transmission pan. Like, it's very stupid. But so far, I haven't had really any issues with my 10-speed. It did have some rough shifting, things like that. But yeah, we have pretty much traveled almost 2,000 miles with my truck with all the stuff I've done to it. Now, just so you guys can see what's inside the trailer, I have a few things. Obviously I have my power washer. I'm planning to go to my parents' house. I'm gonna wash the cars for them, and I have a bunch of tools, stuff like that inside of there. And of course I have my Corvette. This car weighs what? I don't even know. Maybe I'll get it weighed one day. It's a little bit lighter because, you know, it has a bunch of stuff done to it now. But regardless of that, I mean, I'm thinking I'm probably just under 20K gross combined weight. So yeah, I definitely got a lot of good videos coming though, and hopefully you guys are ready to see how these trucks do with all this stuff done to it. You know what I'm talking about? And man, I can't say this enough. I think that the manufacturers have a lot of work to do. Obviously, I think that 10-speed branding, it's all about, you know, selling trucks. That's all the Allison name is. Doesn't necessarily mean that, you know, the 10-speeds are going to get bad. It just means that GM doesn't want to pay for this sticker anymore. Maybe Allison is asking for more money and it doesn't make sense to pay for that branding if it's not that big of a deal. And really, they could just make this 6.6 liter just bigger. They don't have to have anything right there. So it should be pretty easy for them to fix that. But I hope you guys liked the video. I truly believe that, you know, these 10 speeds could be better, and it's probably easy fixes. Next gen has obviously the valve body upgrades. I'm probably going to do a whole new transmission build on my truck, guys. I think that might be the way I go. And then that way I can turn up the power of my truck, so long as I figure out the weak points in the DURAMAX diesel. If I have to do some internals, maybe I'll do that, and maybe we can try to turn this truck up to maybe 700-800 horsepower. What do you guys think about that? Be sure to subscribe to the channel. Make sure the notification on. See you guys soon.